Hey, how's it going everyone? This is DCSG81 and today I would like to do a comparison review for this SH Figuarts Iron Man Mark 85 versus the Mafex Iron Man Mark 85. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started with the overall look of both of the figure. As you can see, even though they are both of the same armor, but they looks rather different. So yes, I'm talking about in terms of the paints as well as the overall build. First of all, you can see that the one from the Mafex do have a better overall build. As for the SH Figuarts, it does looks a little funny now that we compare, because you can see he have a lot more smaller waist. It makes him looks like he have an hourglass shape. And now let's take a closer looks of both of the figure. Let's start with the arc reactor. And you can see that both of them are slightly different in shape. I have checked some promo pictures and it seems like the one from the SH Figuarts does have a more accurate shapes of the arc reactor, while the one from the Mayfax seems like a triangular shape, but it does have something like this at this end here. The Mayfax one is not that obvious, which makes it look like it's less accurate in terms of that. And the other thing that I noticed of the difference is the side of the helmet, which you can see the one from the Mayfax does have something like a shapes of the ear over here, but the one from SH Figuarts doesn't. Maybe it does, but they just didn't paint the silver linings at the bottoms, and it seems that the one from the Mayfax is of better accuracy. And moving downwards, I would say that it's almost rather identical. Let's look at the back, and it seems that it's pretty much the same for both of them. Still, on the overall look of both figures, I kind of like the Mayfax one more because of the hands. You can see that it can actually put side by side on his body, but the one from the SH Figuarts, it looks okay, but you can still see that it doesn't really look as good as the one from the Mayfax, which can put straight to the side. But there is some good things about the SH Figuarts. Is the shoulder pad of the one from the Mayfax is a separate piece, but the SH Figuarts is a single piece itself, which makes it look like it's less troublesome when you're doing some articulations. Also, something to point out on the feet, you can see is that the Mayfax one actually cover up pretty nicely, but the one from the SH Figuarts, there's a huge hole where you can see the ball joints, and it's actually meant for better articulations. But if you just put on a museum pose, it looks kind of odd with the big gap there, but the Mayfax one is cover up pretty nicely. And now we'll talk about the paint of both of the figure. As for the gold, I think they are almost rather identical, except for the one from the SH Figuarts maybe it's a little bit of a lighter gold. About this one, it's a little bit darker kind of gold. But as for the red, you can see it's a rather different red. The one from Mayfax is having the brighter red, but the one from the SH Figuarts seems more like a toned down red. So in the end, which one is more closer to the movie kind of paint? To me, I think a bit of both. Yeah, like this one, it does looks have a better kind of red, but for the SH Figuarts, I kind of think that this gold is more closer to the movie. So for the overall look, I will still go for the Mayfax one, because as an overall proportion, it looks better. So in this case, the Mayfax ones wins. As a matter of fact, I just checked my pictures. I got this guy way back in 2019, which is 3 years ago. So we can't really blame the SH Figuarts for having such an outdated design. Now let's move on to the articulations of both of the figure. This will be interesting because the SH Figuarts one is known to have a better articulations. Now let's see how well it can fight with this Mayfax. So we'll go through the articulations for the SH Figuarts, since we have already done so for this guy review. So as we know from the previous review of the Mayfax, he does have a problem with the head's articulation, whereby he can't look to the left or to the right very much. But for this SH Figuarts, there isn't any problem at all, so he can turn his head very well. And also there seems to be some problem with the arm due to the shoulder pad. It came off very easily whenever you're posing the arm, but this one, like I mentioned earlier, is a single piece by itself, so it will have no problem doing any of the articulation. This is the good parts of the SH Figuarts. But one thing that I felt that it lose to the Mayfax is the butterfly joint, whereby the previous one you can see it does have a very good range of movement for the butterfly joints, but the one from the SH Figuarts is kind of limited actually, just like this. Yeah, this is the part whereby the Mayfax one still better. And in terms of the joints, everything else, the double joint elbow, double joint knee, and even the pull down mechanism, the SH Figuarts one does have it. And also one thing that I felt that the SH Figuarts is better is that the abdomen's part, even though there's 2-point articulations, but they actually break it into pieces, as you can see over here, so it can actually have a wider range of movement there, as you can see. Yeah, even this portion, everything else is moving very smoothly. But the one from the Mayfax, I'm not saying that it's rigid, but you can see that the movement is rather limited. I can understand it's because of the abdomen's part, whereby they make it very seamless to the upper body, while this one, like I said just now, you have an hourglass, but it actually improved very much on the articulations, yeah, due to the smaller waist. Yeah, so this is the portion where you have to sacrifice the overall look for the articulation. So in this case, I would still say that the one from the SH Figuarts is having a better articulations. And as for the legs portion from the SH Figuarts, like I mentioned earlier, you have a big gap due to the wide range of articulations. But for the one from Mayfax, yeah, even though it's covered completely, but it does have a separate function of this thing here, whereby you can open up, and it does have a wider range of articulation. So this is a very good design from the Mayfax as well. Okay, so right up next, I'll move on to the accessory portion. And as you know, or you might not know, the SH Figuarts have released 3 Mark 85. So this is the very first one, which is also the most basic ones. That it only comes with some blasting effects for the hands and for the legs. I'll just take one for a sample, and also some interchangeable hands. That's about it. And the next one they release is this final battle editions of Mark 85, which comes with a lot more accessories, blast effects, but they changed the color from blue to yellow, a nano blade, a nano shield, the lightning refocuser as well, and lastly, a masked Tony Stark head. And the last one is the I Am Iron Man versions of Mark 85, which of course I didn't get it. That Iron Man does comes with some better damage on the armor, as well as a better damage heads of Tony Stark, and also a diorama base, and also these weapons that you can see in the pictures. But for the Mafex Mark 85, you can see that it comes with everything that the SH Figuarts comes with, and even more. Blasting effects, nano blades, nano shields, lightning refocuser, these nano weapons, the Arma's head of Tony Stark, and of course the extra will be this open helmet of Tony Stark, as well as this interchangeable right hand with the nano gauntlets. So from here you can see is that the SH Figuarts need to release 3 different Mark 85 with different accessory to compete with the Mayfax one with just one release, and everything comes with it, and even more than the SH Figuarts could give. So in terms of the accessory, the Mayfax ones win. Now I'd like to do some comparisons for the accessories. Let's start by taking a look at the blasting effects. These are coming from the SH Figuarts, while this one on my right is from Mayfax. Okay, so you can see that all of them are looking pretty good with the translucent part. I do hope that I can do some comparisons for this one, but the one from the SH Figuarts only comes with the I Am Iron Man Mark 85, which I didn't get. The nano blades, and you can see the one from the SH Figuarts already have a hands attached to it permanently, but the one from the Mayfax actually not. It allows you to use either left or right hand to hold on to it, but you can see that they are rather much the same, except the one from the Mayfax have some gold lining paints on it, but the one from the SH Figuarts is just plain red and silver, and the Mayfax one is slightly bigger as compared to the one from the SH Figuarts. Next, we'll compare the nano shield. As you can see on my right here is from Mayfax, and this one is from the SH Figuarts. And of course, the Mayfax one is bigger, as you can see, and the one from the SH Figuarts is slightly smaller, and they kind of use different kind of blue here. The one from the SH Figuarts looks a little bit purplish, but the one from the Mayfax is pure blue, which the one that I think from the Mayfax is more accurate when it comes to the colors of it. and both of it actually have the right hand permanently attached to it. As for the lightning refocuser, you can see they are having a different kind of red, just same like the armor on the Iron Man itself, and the design is very much similar except the one from the Mayfax have a lot more gold. Here you can see there are more gold paints. The one from the SH Figuarts is just plain red, okay, and as for this portion, yeah, it's pretty nice for both of them. But the one from the SH Figuarts does have joints attached to it, so it can be moved slightly. Yeah, you can actually post them a bit, but not very much, as you can see. And they also do have some functions whereby these silver things right over here that you can see, some of it can be detached to attach the blasting effects, which I will show you guys later. And next we'll take a look at this comparison of the Tony Stark head. Wow, you can see the huge difference there. Of course, the one from Mafex is on my right, and you can see the lightness is, I don't have to say it out loud, you know which one is better, right? And I do notice there are two things differences, which is the hair color. The one from the SH Figuarts does have a little bit of gold, which I'm not sure whether is it supposed to be screen accurate. The one from the Mayfax is plain black, and the other difference of course is the skin tone itself. Even though the one from the Mayfax is not a very realistic kind of skin tone, but it's better looking as compared to the ones from the SH Figuarts, which looks like he doesn't have any bloods. It's very pale. So from here we can see the SH Figuarts have no match against the Mayfax. So this is what I meant earlier about the effects parts from the SH Figuarts. Yes, this is very cool indeed. I was hoping that the Mayfax could do something like that, but they just give the lightning refocuser without any effects parts, which is a little bit disappointing because this is a rather simple effects that you can do. You can see it's looking very cool. I was hoping to see this on this body instead. Now, since we know that the SH Figuarts do have a better articulations right now, so I would like to see what about the possibility of both of these brand. And of course, the most dynamic poses I felt for the Iron Man is the superhero landing pose.
Superhero landing!
So let's see which one can do it better. Okay, so as you can see, both of them can do a very nice superhero landing pose. However, for the one from Mafex, it took a little bit more time because I have to watch out for the shoulder pad as well as the head keep coming off very easily. So it's just resting on the ball joint, it's not really attaching to it. But the one from the SH Figuarts, as you can see just now, it took me a few seconds before I can pull this pose off. But for the one from the Mayfax, it will take a slightly longer time, but both of them can do a very nice superhero landing pose. Now let's talk about the skill for both of them, and from my previous review for this Mayfax, we can tell that he is slightly taller than he should be, but I'm surprised to see that both of them are very much of the same height. So let's compare side to side. Yes, you can see that the Mayfax is just tiny bit taller than this SH Figuarts. So both of them are not really accurate when it comes to the real actor height in the 1/12 scale. Now next, I'll talk about the material for both of these figure. As I have read from some of the Mayfax Facebook group, some of you guys actually says that this Mayfax feels cheap. Yes, because it is very light. I'm not sure whether that's a good thing or not. And this SH Figuart does feels heavy because there are some die-cast parts, especially on the legs portion. If I'm not wrong, this is the die-cast part. It feels heavy, so when you place him to stand, it just stands very well because of the weight to it, and this guy is very light. So whenever it comes to a die-cast part, we are always happy because it will be more durable. So in this case, yeah, I would say that the SH Figuarts does have a better material being used. Now when it comes to the price, of course we know this basic figure of Mark 85 is a lot cheaper as compared to this Mayfax, and even for this final battle edition, if I'm not mistaken, he is also cheaper when compared to this Mayfax. However, the one for the I Am Iron Man version is slightly more expensive than both of them because he just comes with a diorama base, which is still cheaper than this Mayfax if I'm not mistaken. But if you were to get all three of them just to compete with this Mayfax, of course the price will be very much higher than you just buying this Mayfax alone. So yes, when it comes to the price, the Mayfax is of course slightly more expensive than the SH Figuarts, but when we talk about the worthiness to get, of course it's a lot more worthwhile to spend your money on one Mayfax as compared to 3 SH Figuarts. Okay, so the final verdict of this comparison, as you can see, I have listed down all the good things and the bad things from the figures, so you can judge for yourself which one you want to go for. Of course, the Mayfax will have a lot more good things as compared to the SH Figuarts, so yes, I would still say in the final comparisons, the winner is the Mayfax. So my final recommendation is that if you already have the SH Figuarts, don't sell this guy off just because you want to get him, because he's still a beauty as you can see. But if you don't have any of the Mark 85, I will still advise you to go for the Mayfax one, even though the price is a little bit steep. So yes, I do hope that you enjoyed this comparison video, and I certainly hope that it will help you to decide whether you should go for this guy, and I will catch you again in my next video. As always, I'll appreciate if you can check out this video right over here.